Hi, Drewbie. Welcome to the PowerTalk Show powered by Business Talks Weekly. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining our channel today. Before we start and dive into a conversation, can you tell us a bit about your professional background and what actually got you into sales?
So I grew up in the streets selling anything and everything I could get my hands on. As I got older, I realized I didn't want to end up dead or in prison. I met a pretty lady. We got married, had a son. So I've been in sales my whole life. That said, I've worked in a number of different industries in a sales role, right? So as I said, I was in the commodities relocation business early on in life. I ended up in the insurance space. I sold retail for a number of years. Then I got into digital marketing, built a marketing company, which led to consulting. I have sold pretty much anything and everything or worked with companies from a number of different industries to help them sell more of their products and services. So sales is my game.
That's wonderful, and thank you so much for that wonderful information. So, Drewbie is called the damn leads all about, and who are you catering? Who are your audience?
Yeah, great question. So Call the Damn Leads is a movement and it works in two parts. On the front end, we have an e-commerce brand with hats, wristbands, keychains, all sorts of fun little swag that reminds yourself or your team to pick up the phone and call the damn leads, because that's literally the answer to your money problems that you have is pick up the phone and call those leads. That said, we use the front end e-commerce business as a lead generation and marketing tool for our back end consulting and coaching platform. So we help small business owners, sales professionals, entrepreneurs dial in on the systems, processes, and routines that they need in order to live the life that they want to live, because we're a big believer that success is a perspective. My version might be different than your version, might be different than the listener's version. And if you were to go back in time to the day we're born into the hospital room and ask our parents, hey, what's going to be their life when they're successful? It would be drastically different than what we're doing right now. And so our whole mission is to really help people get dialed in on the things they need to live the life they want to live.
That's very interesting. And Ruby, as you mentioned, the versions might be different for each individual. There's automated platforms which actually help you drive, and also there are cadence-based steps which gives you step-by-step actions.
I love automation and systems in the way that allow you to be a more effective and efficient service-based individual. So especially when it comes to sales, time is our most finite asset, time, energy, and effort. We can't buy them, can't win them in a poker tournament. We don't get a box full of them on our birthday as a gift, right? So like we're limited in those things. So when you create the right systems and automations to give you more of your time back, that allows you to provide more of your gift to the world. And so I think right now there's a lot of great tools that exist. AI is very hype and buzzworthy, and there's a lot of people that are implementing those sort of platforms to be able to be more effective and efficient. And yet at the end of the day, I still believe that humans really enjoy a good human interaction, which is why I believe in using those automations and also having them simplify it to where you can just spend more time having genuine conversations with the right people.
Absolutely. Many say cold calling and cold emailing is dead. What do you think? Is it still there?
I think it's only dead if you don't know how to approach the process. I think the issue is when most people say that it's failing, it's because they're not actually trying to build a relationship on the front end. They're literally just going in with the spray and pray method of, if I throw enough shit at the wall, eventually something's going to stick, versus being very strategic, doing a little bit of actual research and understanding of what is this person's problem? What is it that they're dealing with? And how can we create a genuine relationship to help that individual? And so I wouldn't say it's dead. I think that it just requires more nuance and requires more than just throwing hey, I want to reach out to this industry and sell them this thing and chat GPT and then firing off a bunch of emails that look like spam.
Absolutely. That makes sense. Which actually, I have a question here where I read an article and it said it takes 16 to 17 touch points when a person or prospect responds back to you. What's your take? How effective is your methodology when it comes to cold calling or cold emailing to prospects?
So I would challenge that I think it's significantly more than 16 or 17. You got to think about the fact that when we wake up every day, most of us immediately pick up our phone. We get emails, we have social media. There might be even like little things that pop up, news articles, depending on how much the stuff you've turned off. So we're being advertised and sold to all day long. And which means that we have to be able to stand out in that crowded noise if we want our brand, our service, our products to be top of mind for people. So I don't do a lot of cold outreach anymore. I try to create content that drives inbound traffic, as in I'm providing as much value to the world as I can, right? I'm showing up on a podcast like this. I'm creating my own podcast. I've got books. I've got blog posts. I'm doing my best to leverage these platforms to put our information out there, which creates more of the ability for our prospects to see who we are and start genuinely wanting to learn more about what we do. So I'm not saying that the cold outreach doesn't work. I'm just thinking that that's a force move, which requires time, energy, and effort, which is finite, versus using something more powerful and attracting the individuals that you want to be working with based on the content that you're producing.
Absolutely makes sense. And do we, I also have want to understand, you spoke about AI, and there's AI based calling platforms which make call for you. I received a call from a trading platform which was an AI generated voice on the other side. What's your take on it? Will that expand and grow?
I think it will, but I think it's trash, personally. If an AI platform calls me, I'm going to hang up on it. And what I'm learning based on personal experience and chatting with others in the industry is that if you don't have all the proper opt-ins for AI calling, it's a good way to get yourself into a lot of trouble and get sued. And so that's the number one thing, is most of the people who are leveraging these platforms aren't actually putting all of the proper legal protection in place for themselves. So I think we're going to see a big, massive lawsuits and civil suits that come out here in the next couple of years from people that are abusing the platforms. And also, I still think that people appreciate a genuine connection. So, where I see AI working really well, home service businesses, because a lot of home service contractors, roofers, plumbers, those guys, electricians, they're typically out in the field swinging a hammer, turning a wrench, doing the thing that they do well with their hands. So they were notorious for not answering their phones when someone would call and not replying to people who were asking for more information or to set an appointment. So I do see it successful in those industries where there was a lack of human connection. And still, though, the people who I see with the most success, they're leveraging some of those automations so that they can get them to an actual person to have a real conversation. And I don't know about you, Navin, but typically when I call someone, if I get like a click one for this, click two for this, I'm
Yeah.
smashing that zero button until I get an actual representative, because most of the time, for me personally, I've exhausted all of the automations and the websites and everything else. I need a genuine answer from someone that has the nuance and wisdom and understanding of experience in that specific situation.
Absolutely. I am with you on that. But also, Drewbie, so if you look at automation, you spoke about the nuances about calling, but what about handling and managing the sales information and data? This is where everything comes into CRM, and CRM has evolved from, I would say when I started till now, it's evolved to a much higher level. What's your take? Will that extend further with AI implementations?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the ability to be able to input data and then quickly analyze that data and then convert it into the information you need, especially in a CRM, that's going to continue to expand. And to me, that really just kind of falls back on those automations and processes that you're using on the back end to stay organized. And as you know, man, most small business owners, they're really good at the thing that they do, the product or the service that they offer, but they're not super techy. So I think the ease of which you're able to take this data, organize it very quickly, and then disseminate it to the proper place, that's going to continue to expand at a rapid rate, because it's just making people's lives easier and then giving them more time to spend on the things that actually move the needle in their business.
I want to understand from you. What are your principles that drive sales? And I also have one more question. I want to understand, when did you first do your first sales? When did you close it?
Well, I mean, I was in grade school or middle school selling stuff to people that I shouldn't have been. So, I mean, I've been selling my whole life. However, I got into the retail business selling cigars and tobacco when I was 19, 20 years old. So I worked in retail for the first number of years. From the retail, I got into selling insurance when I was like 21, 22, which is really where I cut my teeth and learned the value of calling the damn leads, right? Because when you work retail, they're coming into you. Like you're just basically a glorified order taker. But when I started working in the insurance space and actually had to pick up the phone and call these people and run through the process and gather all the information to know, hey, what kind of insurance do they need? Here's what the process looks like. I was probably in my early 20s, I would say.
Wonderful. And what principles drive you to make that sales?
What principles drive me? I'm a big believer in service. So, if I have a product or service that I know can help someone, I feel called to like do my best to offer that to the people who need it. And the main frameworks of what we use, there's two of them. Number one is the 110-2 rule. So in sales, output equals input. So the 110-2 rule is you should be making a minimum of 100 outreaches a day. That doesn't include the automated messages, right? So like 100 manual outreaches every day with a goal of having at least 10 good conversations with people, right? So if you think about a 10% conversion rate for every outreach you make, 1 out of 10 people you should be able to have a genuine conversation with. And then the 2 represents moving the needle on 2 deals every day. So either you're closing a deal or your permission to follow up and setting the next appointment to have the additional conversation to close the deal. 110-2. If you're getting at least 2 out of 3 of those numbers every day, right? Maybe you don't make 100 calls, but you're having 15 really good conversations and setting some follow-up appointments, then you're having a productive day. But if at any point you're only getting 1 out of those in any given day, you're probably going to be lacking in the pipeline as you progress forward, because you have to plant seeds early so that you can nurture them so that they can become the fruit that you harvest. And if you're not planting the seeds, well, in 2 months, there's not going to be any fruit to harvest. So 110-2 is one of the number one frameworks we use for sales. And then the other side of it, because I believe sales is relatively simple, you just have to have empathy, ask the right questions, genuinely care about people, and then be confident in your product or service to actually deliver the thing that they're looking for. The 4 6s strategy is all about time management. So we all know there's only 24 hours in any given day. I don't think
Yep.
anybody listening to this is like a flat earther or has some crazy conspiracy about time. Like maybe you do, but probably not. So the 4 6s strategy is all about where you're spending your time, energy, and effort in order to get the results that you want. So the 4 6s is basically, hey, there's 4 areas of life that matter, and there's 24 hours in a day, which means you can spend 6 hours in each area being very intentional. And if you've ever spent 6 hours doing something you really love, time goes by quick. If you've ever spent 6 hours working on a project that sucks, it feels like it's taking forever. So the time relationship is really important, but those areas, rest and recovery is number one. I still need my beauty sleep. Navin, you look pretty good, so maybe you don't need as much beauty sleep as I do, but like I need my beauty sleep every day. A lot of people put their family or their relationships underneath rest and recovery. So like the legacy, the why, the purpose, the why we're driven to go and do the things that we do. Often you have business right under that because you have to make money, because money is the tool and the resource that we use to provide in all the other areas of life that matter. And then most people put themselves last on that list, which is kind of scary, because if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you show up and be the best version of you for all of those other areas? So to me, there's there's a balance of, if I spend 6 hours a day on me, if I spend 6 hours a day on my family, I make sure I'm getting 6 hours of rest and recovery. Well, if I be real intentional with 6 hours in my business, I can get a lot of stuff done. The problem is most people, they show up to their workplace or they show up in their business and they're half-assing it. They're really only getting 2 to 3 hours of work a day done in a 6 to 8 hour day, which is why they're not getting the results that they want. So if you're really, really focused and really, really intentional with the 6 hours you spend in each of those areas, you'll start to see a measurable increase in the returns that you're getting on those investments.
So, Drewbie, what's next for you?
Thank you.
What is your vision for the next 3, 5 years with Call the Damn Leads and any other things that you're building?
I love that. Thank you. So our big mission and movement with Call the Damn Leads is that by the year 2030, I would like our logo to be in every airport across the United States, and by 2040, the world. because sales is an industry that every day we have thousands of new people coming in. There's a billion salespeople out there right now that are trying to sell a product or a service. So I would like to see our logo, whether it's on a hat, a keychain, a wristband, a t-shirt. I think we should have one in every single airport across the world by 2040. So I think that would be pretty dang cool.
What one piece of advice you got that that change your perspective on how you do business or your profession, your personal life?
I mean, the cliche thing to say would be call the damn leads, but I think the true answer to that is trust the process. A lot of people want things so much faster than it realistically takes to get there, and you have to trust the process in order to believe that you're actually going to get the result that you're looking for.
Thank you, Drewbie. Thank you so much for joining our channel today. It was a very insightful conversation. I have learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me, Navin. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.